Hi everyone, I am Sania Kulit. In today's presentation, prepare to be shocked by my student Jonathan Edward Bryan's presentation on shock. So please reach out to any of us if you have any questions at all. So thank you guys.
Hi everyone, today's lecture will be on shock. Now, before we delve too far into this topic, I'd like to discuss some basics of the circulatory system. We begin with the heart, which is an organ that pumps blood throughout the circulatory system. Next, turn to veins that carry blood towards the heart, while arteries carry blood away from the heart. We also have the aorta, which is the main artery of the body and runs in front of our backbone. We also have capillaries, which are a network of blood vessels between arterioles and venules. Now, in discussing shock, or hypoperfusion as it's coined, is a lack of adequate perfusion or transport of blood in the circulatory system to cells, tissue, and organs, resulting in dysfunction. The body, in response to shock, compensates. Baroreceptors, or pressure or stretch sensors, in the aorta and carotid arteries sense a decrease in pressure and activate these compensatory responses, sending message to the hypothalamus in the brain. Some causes for a decreased blood pressure include decreased blood volume or heart function, as well as vasodilation, or blood vessels opening wider, which is actually the opposite of vasoconstriction, which is blood vessels shrinking or getting smaller in width. There are two pathways of compensating for shock that the body responds with. The first is direct nerve stimulation, which involves the sympathetic nervous system stimulating the heart and blood vessels. Some of the response mechanisms include vasoconstriction, increasing our heart rate, increasing our ventricular contraction force, increasing our respiratory rate, and stimulating the adrenal medulla of our adrenal gland, releasing epinephrine and norepinephrine hormones, which leads us to our second pathway of compensating for shock, involving our hormones. As we mentioned, epinephrine and norepinephrine are involved and help in vasoconstriction and increasing cardiac output. Other hormones, in addition to helping in the ways previously mentioned, also decrease urination to conserve fluid and increase blood glucose level. Now, I've been mentioning compensatory, which in this case means to maintain a near normal blood pressure and level of perfusion to crucial organs. We also have decompensatory, which is where bodily mechanisms are unable to maintain this near normal blood pressure and level of perfusion to crucial organs. There are several categories of shock that I'd like to just briefly mention here. We have hypovolemic, which involves a low blood volume. Distributive, which is a low volume with thin vessels caused by vasodilation and greater permeability of our capillaries. We also have cardiogenic, which involves ineffective heart functioning and pumping. Obstructive, which involves an obstruction occluding blood flow in the forward movement. And metabolic or respiratory, which involves oxygen's ability to diffuse, be transported via hemoglobin in the blood, or be utilized for metabolism at the cellular level, and these are not functioning properly. So it's a problem using oxygen in our body. Now, in addition to the categories, there are several subcategories or types of shock. I'll just briefly list them here. We have hemorrhagic hypovolemic shock, non-hemorrhagic hypovolemic, burn, anaphylactic, septic, neurogenic, and cardiogenic. And again, all of the previously listed names are just types of shock that fall within these categories, or like cardiogenic are themselves a category. So in discussing this, mentioned shock in a neuroscience course. So why talk about shock in a course directed at brain and spinal study? Well, I think it helps elaborate on how biological systems interaction is key to life. So when you think of what this nervous system does, typically think of it controlling everything. But it's also unconsciously maintaining mechanisms of life. Shock helps illustrate how effects to the other systems of the body can result in effects in the nervous system. Thank you all for listening to my lecture today.
And Jonathan is an undergraduate student who is working with me on neuroscience and neurodegenerative diseases on research related to understanding the molecular mechanisms related to those diseases. So huge thanks again to Jonathan for helping out with this presentation today.